Hey everyone, it's the yearly top 10 lists, and I'm not even going to try for an introduction because I'm not good at those. So I have a special guest on tonight, Ryan McKenna. Ryan, you could introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm happy to be on another one of these and talking about another year-end top 10 list. We'll see what interesting films have popped up in 2018.
hmm And the way we're going to do this is Ryan's going to give his 10, then I'm going to give my 10. We'll go back and forth instead of just sprouting off 10 to 1. And if we have the same film on both our lists, then we'll just save it for later. So yeah, Ryan, you could start with your number 10.
All right, my number 10 film of the year was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I have that on my list.
I would have predicted that.
Yep. So we could save that till later. So I guess I'll go with my 10 in that case. Mission Impossible Fallout.
It's all you.
Okay. Having never seen any Mission Impossible movie, and me being with my ADHD and not being able to like pay attention to movies well, this kept my attention for like its full 2.5 hour runtime. It's just insane. Like the big Mission Impossible draw nowadays is just like Tom Cruise is 56 and he's just gonna like jump off buildings, and I was sold like the whole time just from start to finish. The comedy was good, like the little bit of comedy there was in the movie was good. The action scenes were great. There were scenes that lasted like just 15 minutes, it felt like, but like it never lost my attention. And just from start to finish, like there's not really much you could say. It's just an amazing like action movie just from start to finish. Like just the set pieces are great. Everyone does a great job. There's a scene. I don't want to. We won't do spoilers. There's a scene near the end that features Simon Pegg's character, and it's like a real like it makes your heart pump. And it was like I was just like so just entranced the whole entire movie. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Yeah,
What's your
good.
9?
Very good pick. I had that in my top 20, but
Okay.
great movie. My number 9 this year was Alex Garland's new film Annihilation, which came out in March, I think it was.
Yeah, that's yours. I haven't seen it.
All right. Well, so I really enjoyed Annihilation. You know, it was a bold and very interesting science fiction film that I have continued to think about since it's come out. And what's there to say about this movie? It's beautiful. It's wonderfully acted. It was really interesting and thought provoking. The ending is a little weird, but that aside, I think this movie is pretty pitch perfect on point. It has definitely the scariest scene that was in a film this year, and yeah, loved it. Definitely a must-see movie from 2018.
Mhm. My number 9 is Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Okay, so I don't rank documentaries against narrative films,
Uh,
so would by score and by rights it belongs on this list, but
mhm.
it's not on this list.
I rank everything besides shorts. I had a stand-up special in my top 15. um, the stand-up special, by the way, is Mulaney. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so Won't You Be My Neighbor? I'll spoil a little bit. I don't have Paddington 2 on my list, but this was the even more feel-good movie of the year. If you want like just a documentary, maybe the Oscar frontrunner for documentary. If you want just a documentary that will it will warm your heart, but it will make you cry. It will make you just feel all the emotions. It's easily accessible. This is just a good documentary. I never watched Mr. Rogers. Um, and even then, I just found this like a heartwarming documentary. There's not much I could really add to it. So yeah, Won't You Be My Neighbor is my number 9. It's just a heartfelt, just nice movie.
Yeah, totally agree. Really great movie. And it was it was a very interesting movie and to see in a year where everybody seems to be the picture of controversy, and you get this guy who's just
hmm
everyone's just on board with for like good
hmm
and plodding along. It was definitely an emotional watch.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you're number 8.
my number 8, second animated entry on this list, and the last animated entry on this list, spoilers, is Incredibles 2.
hmm
Um,
I saw it. We could both talk, but it's not in my top 10. So yeah.
Fair. Uh, Incredibles 2, obviously the long-awaited follow-up to the first one. I thought it was an incredible thematic follow-up to that movie. I thought they did a very good job of returning us to this world. I thought it was moving, it was funny, it was entertaining. I saw it in this double feature format with the first one, and the two flow together perfectly, except for the animation has improved quite a bit over the years. But story-wise, it was great. I'm so happy that this was not a dud. And it has hung around in that like low middle top 10 area pretty much all year.
Did you have more?
It came out.
I was just gonna say, I'm so happy Pixar seems to be getting back on the right track again after stuff like Brave and Good Dinosaur.
Okay, I like both those movies. Brave more than Good Dinosaur, but nevertheless, I just think
they're still lower tier Pixar.
Yeah, but you could throw out the Cars movies. You could throw out Monsters University. Why are you picking on Brave?
I completely blanked that Cars 3 came out also. That was a movie that came out.
That was a movie.
That's still the best of the Cars movies. The third one.
I think like the first one the best.
Yeah, no, but I do. Incredibles 2 was really good. I think the first one's still better. Just because the first one is like one of my favorite Pixar movies. But no, Incredibles 2 was like, on par, honestly, with the first one. It just missed. Actually, that goes to show you how good of a year this year was, because that's like, I mean, that's all the way down to 19 for me, and I still thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, that's a good pick for number 8.
Yeah.
My number 8 is Black Klansman.
All right, hit me.
Yeah, this was I thought this was gonna. This shows you how good the year was. I saw this whenever it came out in like August, and I thought it was just gonna stay at my number 1. And I still have 7 movies that I liked more than it. I just think it's such a good like. Screen Junkies were talking about this. I think it's like they said like it's such a good like satire, but at the same time it's just like dramatic. The comedy works. That like that sizzle reel at the end is like just you could hear a pin drop in your theater. Just like it's just I really don't want to like talk about it that much, because it's something I think you should see, and I don't really want to, even though it's a true story, I don't want to like I guess spoil anything. I just it did leave me speechless, the ending, and I think the ending honestly is what puts it in my top 10. But also John David Washington and Adam Driver give really good performances. I think the direction's really good. I think the editing's actually kind of underrated. There's one weird editing movie, but yeah, but I just think it's a really good movie. Like I said, the drama works, the comedy works. It works as like a satire. Just all around, I think it's like a really good movie, and I think it's something people need to see.
Yeah, no, I thought it was quite good. It wound up, I think it's at number 23 on my list right now. So it was a good movie. There are things about it that didn't connect with me necessarily, but I thought as a whole it did what it wanted to do, and I thought that that it was a return to form for Spike Lee. I'm not a big Spike Lee fan in general, but I think that this was one of his better entries for sure.
So you're number 7 now.
My number 7 is Barry Jenkins' new film, If Beale Street Could Talk.
Oh, we'll save that.
Punt. All right, your number 7.
My number 7 is 8th Grade.
All right, that's my number 6, so perfect time to talk about it.
Okay, so I'll talk about it, and then you could talk. Okay, and then you could just add on to it. That works out the best. Yeah, 8th Grade. Oh my gosh, this was like this is us. I hate to be like this, but like hashtag relatable. I was there are just like there's one scene in particular. It's the truth or dare scene. That's all I'll say. That made me feel uncomfortable. That whole movie made me feel uncomfortable, but also I was like laughing, I was crying. Josh Hamilton, at first his like performance it didn't seem as big to me, but it grew on me the more and more I thought about it. It's just that like ending with him and like Kayla at like the fireplace. Elsie Fisher is like my pick for best actress of the year. She gives my favorite performance of the entire year. And just like Bo Burnham, like just talking about how, like in the opening, like he actually wrote in all those ums and likes just to make her seem like more relatable and to give her more leeway so she doesn't need to remember every line. But he was saying how she basically got it down to a T. Like that's an insanely good. Like I hope she does like more good work because she's so good. Bo Burnham is such a good director. This it's just like such a good movie, and in most every other years it'd probably be like my top three. And I just think this year is so good. It's like I like get so excited just talking about that movie. Just like it fills you with literally every emotion, like the uncomfortableness, but also Bo Burnham was saying he wanted to make a movie. Like people always say, like how they wish they were a kid again because it was so much easier, and he wanted to make a movie to be like, no, it's not. um, yeah, and just from start to finish, it just makes you feel uncomfortable, but it also makes you feel kind of nostalgic and happy. And I just thought it was a great movie from start to finish. I really don't have any complaints with it.
Yeah, no, I
That's
agree.
it, yeah.
I mean, I thought it was a pitch perfect movie for what it was doing. Um, it's like I wish that this movie was going to get a little bit more awards attention than it's going to get because it's so like clever about itself. And like we look at a movie like Call Me by Your Name from last year, which rightfully got a lot of awards attention. I think this is a very similar structured tale in a way. And I just think the comedy in this movie is incredibly on point, whether it's a music cue or just a bit of writing or whatever the case may be. And I think that Bo Burnham did a very good job of just assembling this thing from the ground up. Obviously, as you said, Elsie Fisher was amazing in it. It was, I mean, she's growing up in a different early high school generation than obviously I did. And there's a very good scene in this movie about how quickly things are changing from like even from people who are a couple years older than her. I thought that was incredibly cleverly put in there. The scene at the fireplace was emotional and moving. I saw this in theaters a couple times, and it was just it's such a well done little movie that I'm glad it had its place this year. I'm hoping that people watch it. I'm hoping that some parents let their 8th graders watch it. I've been trying to convince a family friend to let me show their kid this. I'm like, but I know there's a really creepy, awkward scene in this movie, but the movie is very good. But yeah, so I think it's a wonderful coming of age movie, and it really kind of stands above a lot of the other coming of age movies that we've had in recent years, even ones that have been pretty good. So
yeah, I'd say it's on par with like I think I got like a few like Lady Bird comparisons and stuff. I'd say it's like that probably on par.
Yeah, I thought this was easily better than Lady Bird, but I could see the
yeah, and Bo Burnham said like the reason like why people were like why is 8th grade R-rated, and he's like because it is. That's how it would
because
work.
8th grade
is R-rated. Yeah.
Which is a little bit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 6, like for the most part, my top 10, what is like actually kind of like most people's top 10. I threw this one on there because I had so much fun, even though it's not like a perfect movie. A Simple Favor.
Okay.
This is where I started getting like I just had so much fun with this movie. Blake Lively's amazing. I actually like Paul Feig as a director. I didn't think Ghostbusters not to open that can of worm was so terrible. It was fine. Yeah, but no, it's Simple Favor. I just had so much fun with it. I love Anna Kendrick. Blake Lively does give one of my favorite performances of the year. I heard you groan.
No, I said
Oh.
I was a big Anna Kendrick fan. I thought this movie was fun, but I just didn't. There's some people that I know who are like who find this movie very special, and I'm just like,
there's something about the movie. I just found it so fun, even though it's like it does kind of like I get all the complaints. For some reason, I just found it completely like so fun, and I cannot explain it. I just liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was really funny. I gotta give it that. It was really entertaining for me.
And Henry Golding, that was his first performance. That's so weird. He seems like an actor. I was just, it's like his first, it wasn't that his debut performance, Henry Golding, at least in like American cinema. I feel like it was like his first performance.
Well, I don't know what she shot first, but Crazy Rich Asians came out before this movie did.
Oh, it did? It did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I saw this one first, I think. Yeah, but I don't know. He just seems like an actor who's been like acting for like 20, 30 years.
I mean,
like, he's not
maybe
that
he
old,
is.
but I'm just saying he seemed like an accomplished actor. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed really good for a debut performance. But no, I just thought it was really fun.
Yeah.
So you're number 5. That was a weird comment by me.
My number 5 was Bad Times at the El Royale.
It's not in my top 10, but yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah. I loved this movie from start to like. I was very reticent about going to this movie, and eventually I was bored. So I was like, all right, it's playing at the discount theater on the far other side of town. So I'm just going to drive there. I'm going to watch this. People have told me this movie is good. Maybe it'll turn out to be something. And I was just gripped from the first moment, like watching this thing. This was like, I like The Hateful Eight, and I'm a big Quentin Tarantino fan. I think this was everything I had wanted The Hateful Eight to be, just in like this absolute zany, all these different characters assembling in this like small enclosed environment. It's got some great performances. Like Chris Hemsworth, he's had a year.
Yeah,
and he's great in this movie. Which in another very underrated performance. There's a lot of very underrated performances in this movie in particular, but it's shot delightfully. It uses neon incredibly well. There's just like a lot of great moments in this movie. And I'm glad that I went and saw it in the theater and got that experience, because it was 100% worth it.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's my 14.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, it's really fun, and it's also like a 2.5 hour movie, like 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it just like it keeps your attention. Like everyone's so good in it. Like Cynthia Erivo's really good in it. Another like debut performance. Or Widows, whichever came out first. Yeah, Jeff Bridges, Dakota Johnson. It's just like it's John Hamm, it's Chris Hemsworth. It's just so just entertaining, and like it grips you from like the beginning. And yeah, it's just really
like,
fun.
what is going on? What is this place? Yeah, no, it was wild.
So my number 5 now. Yeah, Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Okay, it's not in my top 10, but
yeah, it's Richard E. Grant's great in this. Muriel Heller, that's some stunning like direction, and like Melissa McCarthy gives such a good performance. It's just the screenplay is what really worked about this. And it's just like some of these movies I want people to watch, because like I don't really want to spoil anything or give anything away. I think it's just like it's an easy watch. It's like a charming movie. I think the Richard E. Grant and Melissa McCarthy are really good in it. I wish it was getting a little bit more awards buzz. I just think it's like a really like fun movie from start to finish, and there's not really much more I could say about it.
I think this movie was anchored by 2 very good performances, and I'm glad that it looks like they're going to get nominated for everything. Winning, I wouldn't mind seeing Richard E. Grant win, but
yeah.
But nevertheless, I thought it was anchored by 2 very good performances. It wasn't a movie that necessarily connected with me very much outside of that, but good movie though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand that. There's some movies that like really work for me. Okay, so you're number 4 now.
My number 4 is the Palme d'Or winner in Hirokazu Koreeda's new movie, Shoplifters.
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
This is a terrific movie. I went and saw it. It was a nice little fall afternoon, and we had this lovely introduction to this film. And I sat down, and I may have seen a Koreeda film, but I'm not 100% sure that I have. And I was just so taken by what this thing, like, it was not at all the movie I expected, and it kept doing things that I didn't expect it to do. And it has scenes that should feel really dirty, that aren't and are just really sweet and moving. And the way this movie has surprises in it for sure. And as you start to learn more about what's going on and where it ends, like it was heartbreaking but loving, and just this delightful film about human nature, about poor people in Japan, which is it's a less talked about aspect of Japanese society. And it's just so charmingly well done. All the acting is great. And yeah, this is an absolute movie to see. If this wasn't a year with Roma in it, you have to imagine. Well, although I'm seeing a lot of people voting for Cold War and Burning or whatever ahead of this in the best foreign feature race, but I think in almost any other year, it would be a hands-on favorite in that category because it's so effective. So yeah, I would highly recommend checking out Shoplifters when it comes to a video on demand service near you.
When it comes to your local Blockbuster. My number 4 is Widows.
Widows, all right. Not on my list, but good movie.
This is honestly, I have no idea how high this would be for me if it wasn't for one single performance, and he's literally only in the movie for like 15-20 minutes. Daniel Kaluuya is menacing in this movie.
He is.
And I'm not as high on Get Out as a lot of people. I don't think Kaluuya is as great as everyone was saying he was in Get Out. Widows, oh my gosh. And it's like a lot of the things he doesn't Get Out just played as a villain role. Like it's a lot of the stuff in The Stillness of the Eyes people were saying works so much better here. It's menacing. There are 2 scenes in particular. There's the basketball scene, and there's the bowling scene, the rap scene and the bowling scene. He is insane in this movie. The rest of the movie, it's just like, it's kind of the same way I'd compare almost Bad Times at Royale, where it's just like a long movie and a lot happens, and I just like had a blast with it the entire time. Yeah, I just thought like it's weird when Viola Davis isn't your best performance in the movie. Yeah, like a lot. Debicki is really good. The way she like changes her her accent and her like motivations and stuff, and like Michelle Rodriguez is good. Cynthia Erivo, another good movie she was in. Yeah, no, just from like start to finish. The score is really good. The cinematography is really good. I also wish it was getting more awards buzz. Like I wish Kaluuya was like winning Oscars for this performance, even though he's not in that much. Brian Tyree Henry is also really good in it. I just think like from start to finish, this is just such a fun movie.
Yeah. No, it was an incredibly entertaining film. It's one of those movies that like you can just throw in with some people and just enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're number 3, right? Yep.
Yes, my number 3, which I will say is a movie that I constantly think about making it my number 1. I know there's one problem with it that I can't get over that makes it not my number 1. But at number 3, I have Lean on Pete.
I haven't seen it, so it's all yours.
A movie about a boy and his horse, sort of, but really it's about living in dramatic poverty and a lot of hopelessness. And this is maybe the most heartbreaking movie I've seen in many years. And Charlie Plummer, who was in All the Money in the World last year, in like he's okay in that movie. Not giving a stellar performance. He seems like this performance is so natural and just unbelievable throughout. Because most of the time, like he's got some scenes with some very good actors, but most of the time he's acting against a horse, and
that's such a good line.
You know, like, and he's talking to the horse and he's reflecting on his life and like and his hopes for what they can do. And there's a scene at one point in this movie that just like I'm just like I can't with this child anymore. Like it's so sad, but like in a meaningful kind of way. And the only problem I have with Lean on Pete
Mm-hmm.
is that you can tell it's a very low budget movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not shot like this brilliant high budget movie, but it's so like it looks like it's shot on someone's home video camera. And that aside, everything about this movie was stellar. I was like depressed for like 2 days after watching this movie. Like I was just like, I can't deal with the world that we live in with this story. And it has meant an incredible amount, and it has just been in this place of stasis right near the top of my list. And it's a movie I've been trying to implore everybody to see because I think it's incredible. So lean on Pete.
Good pick. My number 3 is probably maybe the best picture winner, Stars Born.
Okay, it's not in my top 10, but good movie.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper's great, Lady Gaga's great, the music's great. I just like it's kind of I don't want to talk about it because everyone's already said everything about it. It's maybe the best picture winner. Yeah, no, it's just a really good movie. The direction's really good. Sam Elliott. Oh gosh, I said Richard E. Grant. I want him to win. I want Sam Elliott to win. Yeah, there's like that. Someone said that scene where Sam Elliott's just crying in his car while he backs out is like the greatest thing ever. Like near the end, but yeah, this is just everything's it's so good, and I just don't want to say anything else about it because everyone's talked about it, and anything I say it's like yeah. So the music's good. Lady Gaga's really good. Bradley Cooper's really good. Sam Elliott's really good. I just think it's just an emotional movie. It gave me every single like emotional reaction it was hoping for. And yeah, it's just I think everyone should see it. Everyone probably already has seen it. Yeah, no, it's really good.
I fully agree. This is a great movie. I like it's incredibly well acted. It has 2 of the highest high scenes of the year. You know, like Shallow, which is rightfully going to win Best Song of the Year. That scene as played in the movie is unbelievable. And there's a scene also at the end that's also similarly great. I loved it a lot. I thought it dragged me a little bit, but otherwise, I think that it's a very good movie, and I think it's deserving of a lot of the attention that it's been getting.
Yeah. So now your number 2.
My number 2, another movie I saw a lot of these movies relatively early in the year, which I'm not sure what that says about this year for me, but movie I saw relatively early in the year, popular movie, very intense, thrillerish feature about a family caught having to stay silent. Is A Quiet Place.
It's taking me a while to figure that out.
Yeah, no, John Krasinski's A Quiet Place from, what was it, March?
Yeah, maybe.
It is it's such a fun movie, but it has so many like extra layers of stuff in there that are just like they're all sort of jammed together. And like I know a lot of people who have been going after the logic of this movie. Like frankly, like that's not really the point. But okay, like fine, there are logical holes in this movie. Like it doesn't necessarily pass the fridge test. But if you just watch the film, you get in like I remember the first time I saw it, and I've now seen it like 3 times. And like the first time I watched this movie, it was so like wound up, like palms were sweating, just like uncomfortable, sitting in this theater, like praying that these people don't die. And like all the while noticing that there are these little scenes in there that are just so emotionally powerful. Like I think there's a scene in this film with John Krasinski and Noah Jupe under a waterfall that I think is still possibly my favorite scene of 2018. And it's a small almost nothing scene to a lot of people. And like I just think that this movie has really stuck in its place, and it's nice to see a movie that's going to be as like physically engaging as it is emotionally interesting. So I was really happy to see this movie this year.
I will have to probably check it out eventually.
Watch it.
I just know horror scares me, which I know
that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah, I just don't like it. Okay, my number 2 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which
All
we
right.
could circle back around to. This was gonna be my. I'm amazed that this isn't my number 1. This is legitimately maybe my second favorite animated movie of the decade, behind like Inside Out. Yeah, no, it's just honest.
Do we count 2010 as part of this decade or no?
I don't have Toy Story. I would count it. I don't have Toy Story 3 in my close to my favorites, or How to Train Your Dragon or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. No, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It has such like the Lord and Miller touch. It's such a like they worked on it. It has such a like the Lego movie type touch. Just like the references, the voice acting, John Mulaney as Peter Porker. Oh gosh, that was amazing. His 5 minutes. He was in it more, but yeah, no, I just thought it was such a fun movie from like start to finish. I know you probably have more to say about it, but yeah, I just really thought it was just fun, and it adds to that like a movie type touch where it's just like all these references, all these in jokes. It's heartfelt, but it's also funny. It mixes both genres perfectly, and I just thought it was like great from start to finish.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it definitely gets the Easter eggs. It definitely has got the in jokes. It rocks those. I think it's very cleverly animated. I thought the characters were all fairly compelling. Um, I think that some of them were probably underused. um, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't have it, like, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what my issue is with which is not. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's not like I
Oh,
have a
you
huge
hate it.
issue with Spider-Verse, but it's a like there was just something about it that was like, okay, this is very, very good.
Mhm.
But it's not it didn't necessarily like there's a couple moments that I thought were emotionally connecting, but as a whole, I didn't find it all that I didn't it didn't stay with me for very long other than as like a very entertaining comic book film. And
Mhm.
it's a movie that I'm going to come back to. It obviously made my top 10 of 2018.
Mhm.
It's my favorite superhero movie of the year. I guess
Yeah.
spoilers if that assumes that my number 1 was going to be a superhero movie.
Uh,
Sorry, guys, it's not.
oh, you're really upsetting everyone here.
Well, there's a
Yeah,
movie that hasn't been on either of our lists yet. That
yeah. Um, well, yeah. So what's it called? Like, this is a minor spoiler, but they do like the whole like there's a sky beam and we need to save the world, like that type of thing. But it works.
yeah,
Like,
it was
I
cleverly done.
actually,
I didn't
I
like the
actually
King.
like. What didn't you like,
I said
Kingpin?
I didn't like the Kingpin in this movie.
Uh,
Actually, I like the like part of him at the beginning, but then I think that this movie like it came out in like kind of a weird time for the Kingpin
mm,
because we're so, or at least I think a lot of people are very so invested in Daredevil still, and I think that it was an interesting time for it to come up with that character. I will say the Stan Lee cameo in this movie was
mm.
the absolute perfect thing we needed for its time. Um, I don't know how that managed to be as perfect as it was because like they can't have known. So I don't know.
It's the
I
first
thought,
time I had a Stan Lee cameo, and it wasn't like cheers and applause. It was just everyone was silent.
yeah. Well, everyone was crying.
Yeah, yeah.
So meh. But yeah, no, it was great. I thought actually one thing I do want to really call out as great in this movie. I love the art design they used for the Prowler. Like,
Oh, yeah.
oh my god! Every time I would watch him, I was just like, this is just it's amazing. Also, as a villain in general, the Prowler was great.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Oh,
loved it.
yep. So number ones now.
Do you want to call it some honorable mentions first?
Yeah. I mean, I'd call out. I was not doing honorable mentions because I have one thing on here that would make you angry.
Well, nothing's gonna make me angry.
Okay, fine. I'll say my so honorable mentions that weren't named. Sorry to bother you. I really enjoyed. It was Creed 2 I really enjoyed. Favorite I enjoyed First Man. Game Night. Game Night. Oh, I wish Game Night made my top 10. Because that's just like a fun like just from start to finish. The one that would maybe annoy you is Vice. because it's not no one even really likes it. It's like mixed reviews, and I just liked it for some reason a lot.
Hey, you're not the only person.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah. So I'm gonna call out the superhero movie that I'm sure a lot of people are gonna be like, why isn't that on your top 10? Well, Black Panther, great movie. It
Yeah.
wound up in my number 11 spot. You name dropped this one earlier, Paddington 2. Loved it. Still love it. Absolute must see of the year. You Were Never Really Here. Really dark, creepy movie with Joaquin Phoenix. Loved it as well. On your list, A Star Is Born. Another movie I liked a lot. American Animals, which was a really interesting thriller documentary thing. And then I'll just call out Leave No Trace, which was a nice movie with Thomasin McKenzie and Ben. Why can't I think of his name? Foster. I was like, it's Ben something, but Ben Foster. Yeah, no, it was. It's a very interesting and emotional movie. And yeah, then just a couple. Avengers: Infinity War really liked. Fallout, which you mentioned. Roma, which was impeccable, and then Clint Eastwood's The Mule will round up my honorable mentions.
I'm so curious about that movie because I'm hearing wildly different things. I'm so curious about that.
Yeah, like it's so. I was very surprised by it because I didn't expect to like it a ton, but like I think that Clint Eastwood and Bradley Cooper are both very, very good in that movie, and everyone else is just kind of there to push along their stories. But I think that it worked nicely for what it was, and it was a very reflective movie. So,
hey, I mean, Dan Murrow from Screen Junkies was ranting about the movie, and it made me want to see it more. Yeah, and one more honorable mention since you mentioned Joaquin Phoenix, Sisters Brothers. I watched it on about 2 hours of sleep, and I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, number ones. You want to say yours first?
Sure. My number one of the year is Damien Chazelle's First Man. She mentioned in your honorable mentions portion. This movie like absolutely floored me. I was so happy to see. Like I liked La La Land a lot, but I didn't get necessarily its obsession. I didn't see Whiplash in theaters, so I didn't get that experience with it. Even though I do love Whiplash a lot, but this movie just like it was just like absolutely awesome in the traditional sense of that word. And it was nice to see something that was projected on film, which I'm not getting very often where I'm at. And it was just this incredibly impressive cinematic movie, very realistic to the point where I think that is probably why a lot of people are turned off by it. It's slow, it's methodical. People just die randomly. Like it's such a good exploration of this point in time, what they were doing, and it shows you how unbelievably difficult this task is. And I thought it was a great, like my favorite movie from last year, which was Dunkirk. Like that movie, I thought this was another movie that showed really the greatness of the human spirit and what we can achieve when we put our minds to things. And it has probably the best score of the year. It's just technically so well made. Like I was absolutely blown away, and I was very happy that I could be like, yeah, Damien Chazelle won me over with another movie. So
yeah. And yeah, Dunkirk, that's actually the comparison I had, just in that. So like I cannot move. This is like it's not so much like someone put it well, like saying he's not a big fan of these like biopics, especially ones really like he thinks like Chazelle's approach really helped instead of just setting out to, I'm just going to quote him, instead of setting out to merely share a story of an American icon, he dug deeper into exploring his emotional state during the time that led up to his defining moments, which, yeah, that really helps instead of just saying like, oh, he was a hero. Yeah, but no, Clear Void is really good. That the "You're Just a Bunch of Boys" scene is like one of my favorite things of the year also. Yeah, that's just a really good movie. Yeah, that's a good number one pick. Dunkirk's a really good experience and just like how tense it makes you feel. Yeah. And my number one, since it's the one thing that you mentioned that I said circle back around to it, is Beale Street. If Beale
Yeah.
Street could talk.
Yeah.
What number did you have this on your list?
I have it at number 7.
Okay. Um, this is the most recent movie I've seen. I'm glad I actually saw the Barry Jenkins movie in time because I remember last time I did my top 10 list and I saw Moonlight right after and it was my favorite thing. Um, yeah. This floored me. Um,
Mhm.
just like I think it's better than Moonlight. Um, I don't know if you think it's better than Moonlight.
I
I don't
think
know how
there's a
much.
good I could go either way. I think
I
there's a
hate the
good case to be
comparisons. Yeah.
made. I think there's a good case to be made that it's better than Moonlight, but
Mhm.
I think there's a good case to be made the other direction. They're very close for me. Like it's neck and neck.
Mhm. Yeah, same. And I don't know if I don't think I'm gonna sour on this over time, but there are just like I was sitting in there are scenes in this movie, especially okay, this is gonna be a minor spoiler. I won't get into like real deep. I mean, it's based on things and stuff. um, that scene with Stephen James and Brian Terry Henry, where he's saying like what people do to you in prison,
Mm.
is like there was like a loose string on like the seat I was sitting at my theater, and I straight up like ripped it off. I was like, I did not. I forgot for a second like this was just a movie. Like I was so like no movie in quite some time has made me feel this just like entranced into the story. The only complaints I've seen are people saying it runs a little too long, and I was like, I'm thinking like it's an hour 59. It's I don't think it runs too long. I think it actually sets out the motivations of every character in the movie instead of just like giving you the bare minimum of what you need. Um, Stephen James is great. Brian Terry Henry's great. Regina King, rightfully so, is getting awards recognition. Kiki Lane's great. It's just there are like that Brian Terry Henry scene is like my favorite thing of the year. And the score, oh my gosh, the score! I can't forget Bertel's score, and the fact that the Globes like overlooked him is a tragedy, in my opinion. As far as award shows go, it's just like this Moonlight, even Vice's score is decent. I think he's like just such a good composer,
Mhm.
and like I mentioned, the Brian Tyree Henry scene. I think there's a moment in the movie where the score just stops during that scene, and but like my heart it was like pumping so fast, I felt like I still heard the music. Um, it's just it's a phenomenal movie. It's I forgot exactly how I put it. I was just the it's like heartfelt, but at the same time it's like it, I don't know, it's like it feels you with like the same emotions Moonlight felt you with. I do want to see his what's like the first movie he did? Like what's it
Uh,
called? Something melancholy.
Medicine for Melancholy.
Melancholy. Yeah. Um it's just yeah, hauntingly beautiful. Um like I haven't been this captivated by a movie in like in a while. I said the Stephen James Brian Tyree Henry scene is my favorite thing of the year, and there's like still 7 other scenes that are look like as as good. Yeah, it's just insane how I felt like happy, tense, sad, like just captivated. It was beautiful, but at the same time haunting. There's a scene uh there's the scene where he's like trying to Kiki Lane's trying to like protect him in like that where he gets in like a fight with it's just like so tense. And my favorite comment was I was telling people to see the movie and someone was like I had a friend who walked out because he was white and he felt guilty. And that's almost how I really like that comment, and that's kind of a good way to put it almost.
Mm.
No, yeah, but no, seriously, it's hauntingly beautiful is the best way I would put it. Um,
Mm.
it's amazing. People need to see this in theater. I know, I know people like to watch leaked screeners. Please don't, especially for this movie. Please don't. It's something you need to see in theaters. Just you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you watched the leaked version of this.
Mm.
Like, Like I know, like it might not come to your country, but when it does, just watch it in theaters. Even to watch it on like Blu-ray, I still feel like it's a disservice. You need to just be in the crowd, and it's just I can't describe like it left me speechless. Like I think it's like legitimately one of my favorite movies ever.
Hmm.
I know
Wow.
that's far, and I don't see as many movies,
No.
but I thought it was like really good, really tense, really beautiful. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
my number one.
I similarly found it incredibly moving.
Mhm.
Um, I think that there are a lot of these characters that are just very well formed and very interesting, and um, it's nice. And I don't think this happens often enough, but it's nice to see a movie about African Americans where
Mhm.
they don't all think exactly the same thing. Um, and it's nice to see the variety of thought that's in that community.
Mhm.
And just the different ways that things happened. And this movie dealt with some like really real shit.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and it did not shy away from doing so.
Mhm.
There's a couple scenes about some very real, serious issues
Mhm.
that were exquisitely powerful. It has some scenes that are very incredibly happy and interesting, and some other scenes that are challenges that we understand from our daily lives, and just like it was moving, it was meaningful, it was incredibly well shot,
Mhm. Yeah.
uh, and beautiful, like in the way that every piece of it was photographed and
Mhm.
assembled. Um, I thought, while I think you're right in that it
Mhm.
doesn't drag on too long necessarily, and it's not a complaint, it's an observation that I have about this movie
Mhm.
is that it feels drawn out. Like it's very
Mhm.
slowly,
I
like
get that.
it's like pulling apart like toffee or something is the way I described it. Just like slowly pulling apart this thing to reveal what's going on under the surface. Which I think really developed the atmosphere of this movie. Um, and yeah, I think that Barry Jenkins has made another very terrific movie. I'm glad that he's continued to focus on sort of interesting stories with something to say. And yeah, I found it incredibly moving and interesting, and uh, you got to see a lot of the perspectives of different characters. I've heard this book is excellent. I've never read it,
No, that I.
but yeah. So I mean, it's a movie that I definitely think is a must watch. It just wound up, it came out in a year that I think was absolutely superb, and
Mhm.
the 6 movies that are ahead of it are
Mhm.
all they all managed to connect with me on just a slightly
Mhm.
deeper level than this one did, but this one certainly by no means it's a movie that I think that everyone should take the time to see.
Yeah. So yeah. Good
And yeah,
year.
and don't steal movies.
Don't steal movies. That's more of a you and I conversation because there's yeah, I don't want to get to that.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
just in general also don't steal movies. But yeah. So yeah, thanks for joining me on 2018 was a good year. People were saying it wasn't as good. I think it's better.
I want to
Uh,
know what those people are on. Like,
yeah.
what drugs but are you on
Although
that
I do think the
2018
best
was
picture
not a good year?
I do think the best picture lineup might be weaker.
Well, but that
I just don't like
but
two of
that's
those movies that
not
much.
necessarily. I
I
mean,
know.
there's movies I don't like on the Best Picture lineup too, but like that's just the Best Picture lineup for you.
Yeah.
Like it's not
Yeah.
that's not indicative of what the year was
Yeah,
necessarily.
what you
It's
personally,
just like,
unless you're not watching as many movies, like this,
yeah.
there were movies
No,
that
I've
missed
seen
my
some
top.
people
Like, yeah,
who have complained who have been like, "Oh, well, I saw these like 7 films, and this year was bad." Like, no,
the blockbusters weren't as good as last year's one.
which is also not true.
Yeah, not true
Blockbusters this
either.
year were really
Fallout.
good.
Yeah,
Fallout was really good. Black Panther was really good.
yeah.
Infinity War was really good.
What is this?
Incredibles was really good.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't know. I I don't know where people are coming from with that one.
yeah, makes no
Like,
sense.
but yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
And who knows? Who knows what 2019 is going to have in store? I guess
yeah.
we'll find out in the months to come.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me.
My
So,
pleasure.
see, talk to you later.
Talk
Bye.
to you later. Bye.